Welcome to the Modern Day Slave podcast. See, the new slavery in these days is mind control. If you control the mind, you can control the people. This podcast is dedicated to the re-education and awareness of our modern influences through the examination of current and historical circumstances that have led to conditions that we now live. Welcome to your freedom. Imagine for just a second that you are getting over on your brother. And you know that you've been getting over on your brother. And so you got to figure some type of way to keep your advantage and keep your ability over him. But at the same time, you've got to make him feel good, right? Because he's starting to pick up on the fact that you are abusing his power, that you are taking advantage of everything and everyone that's around you. Just imagine, if you will, that you're that person, right? So what do? You come up with a scheme that allows for it to look and appear as though you're on an even playing field with him, although you own 99% of the wealth and he only owns 1%, and you're trying to take his 1%, right? So I want you to understand here, imagine that you're that person. Imagine that you're going to create this system that's going to make it look like you're on the same even level playing field, right? Which is baked in certain advantages, certain privileges because you belong and are a member of a particular society. I want you to imagine that when you do this creation, you create a divide between those that are of a certain distinction, and you bridge the gap between what appears to be equality with you and your brother, right? So if this is truly a bridge, it would be a bridge of equity. You have half, I have half. That's equity. Or if there's three of us, we split it three ways, 33% for each, right? That's equality. That's a system built upon equality. What took place was you decided to capitalize off of the situation. You know you've got this advantage. You decide to capitalize off of it. So you take your, poor brother, and I say poor because, again, you have 99% of the wealth. He has 1%, and you're trying to take his 1%. So you take your poor brother, and you convince him, and he's like, yeah, wow, let's do this, okay? Perfect. We don't want to work, that hard anyway. So you create this set of advantages. Now, if you identify physically, from a physical characteristic standpoint, with the brothers, then you are considered to have these certain set of advantages, even though you may be the percentage that's getting squeezed out when it comes to the amount of poverty you face on a day-to-day basis, or the amount of shortage of hunger, those types of things that you have. Versus, your brother's eating good, he's living good, he's doing well, right? Don't you have to know that one day your father's going to come along and examine the behaviors of both? And he's going to right the wrong that has taken place between the brothers? Do you not realize that? Do you not understand that everything that was told about you was told a lie? And there's only one reason why the destruction that is due for a nation that established itself upon the same principles in which that brother, rich brother, I call him rich because he had the 99% and wanted to take the 1% that the other brother had. So The rich brother, right, has tricked you and the society into believing, that yeah, he wants that same thing, right? You had to know that the Father's going to come in and see and examine the works of both, and your deeds were going to be what was going to be judged against you. And he was going to right that wrong that was done in the beginning. See, the Creator Most High, whom I call Allah, has given the opportunity for the enemy to come, bow down, and surrender themselves before he gets ready to destroy. See, they have right now the precious jewel hostage. That's the only reason why the Father hasn't destroyed everything that the other brother built up under the principles of hate, envy, greed, jealousy, dissension, and defactions. Same things are the characteristics that we see today. Same things we can see in the characteristics of Galatians 5. So when you read that 5th chapter of Galatians, you understand how to operate your deeds. Look, you're so precious that when you were created, the angels were commanded to bow down and prostrate themselves before you. Okay? That's how precious you are. But yet we use a physical descriptor, outward appearance, to judge a man, to examine a man, instead of the content and character of a man's heart. We are truly living in prophetic times if you just turn and take a look at the signs. Okay? Think about it. Galatians 5 gives you those things that are of the Spirit. The question becomes, as I leave you today, are you walking by the Spirit? Or are you walking by the things that are described as the flesh? Come out of your enemy. It's time. God is present. He's on scene. And he has come to collect his lost jewels. Praise be to him. Assalamu alaikum, which means may the peace be upon you. I hope you've received this message with peace. I hope you've received it with encouragement. I hope you've received it with love, because it is love which brings about truth. And this message is true, stamped, sealed, and delivered. I'm just a messenger, and I charge you nothing for that. For my rewards are with the one who is present and on scene today. Continue to keep your steps by faith. Nakia Anderson out. The slave master loses the moment we start to recognize that we're on the plantation. When he continues to put his yoke of bondage out in plain sight for you, and you ignore it by not feeding into the trap that he's laid before you, you then win your freedom. Welcome to your freedom.